Hi, everyone. So, in today's episode, we are diving into the world of cutting-edge medicine with Dr. Noa Avni. She's the director of R&D at Nuroxone Biologic. Dr. Avni and her team are working on something truly incredible. They are using exosome-based therapies to help people with spinal cord injuries, which is a condition that has so few treatment options right now. We will also hear about her journey from diagnostics to drug development, how intellectual property plays a huge role in bringing these innovations to life, and what's it like leading a startup team that's passionate about making a difference. Get ready for a fascinating chat about the future of medicine and how science can change lives.
Hello, this is IP Stories by 4IP Council, a podcast about innovation and intellectual property. Join us and you'll hear about the journeys through invention, creation, and IP understanding of our guests. I'm Fernanda.
And I'm Marta, and today we are happy to welcome to our podcast Dr. Noa Avni. She's going to tell us about her work as Director of Research and Development at Nuroxone Biologic, which is an exosome based spin off that develops solutions for patients with spinal cord injuries. Hello, Noah, how are you?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great, well, thank you so much for having this chat with us. I think, first of all, it would be good to explain to our audience in simple terms what is the purpose of Nuroxone and the innovation that can change so many people's lives.
So Nuroxone develops an exosome-based therapy for acute spinal cord injury. I don't know how many of the audience know what are exosomes, but exosomes are kind of like a Trojan horse. So basically, we're able to deliver drugs without the body kind of noticing we do so because they're encapsulated within exosomes. And exosomes are a little small vesicles that cells knows how to secrete, kind of like sending a note to your friend in school to communicate between cells. So we basically take those exosomes, load them with drugs that can manipulate the body or have therapeutic effect on the body and do it in a very safe manner. Our first indication is acute spinal cord injury, and this is a condition that has very little clinical utility in terms of what we have today to offer patients. And we hope to bring them better quality of life using our technology.
And now let's talk about you. So, maybe it would be nice to know more about your journey and why and how did you end up in your current position?
So I have a PhD in protein biochemistry. And then when I finished my PhD, I kind of thought, what am I going to do with my life when I grow up? And I wanted something that was very quick in terms of learning a lot of stuff together and quickly and having experience with the FDA quickly and touching patients quickly. And that's why I chose to go to the diagnostics field as a first kind of dipping my toe in the water. And in the diagnostics field, you have the opportunity to feel a lot of the field. So you do research, and then you do regulatory, and then you do quality, and you do submissions, and you actually do clinical trials with actual patients. So I had the opportunity to work for a great company called MeMed, which was one of my best lessons in life, I think. And I was there for a few years and did all the track I just described. So I ended up with the FDA submission. The product was approved. Patients were able to receive the diagnostics. And then I felt I want to do like switch gears and go to drug development. And I started with something it's a little bit similar to exosome, not exactly, but also small vesicles with drugs. And there I started to learn the whole language of drug development, which is totally different than the diagnostics field. So I had to learn preclinics, and I had to learn analytics, and I had to learn assay development, et cetera, et cetera. And then after a few years, I went to another drug development company, this time cell therapy, with mitochondrial cell therapy. And I established an analytical department there, and it was very much fun to me. And yeah, at that time, I already had the experience of running preclinical studies and running bioanalytics and establishing my own department and kind of establishing a team with my spirit and my values. And then came across the opportunity to go and run the R&D department at Nuroxone, and of course, I jumped on it. And yeah, this is where I am today.
Just out of curiosity, which is more bureaucratic, diagnosis or drug development, in your experience?
Definitely drug development without even thinking about it. But it makes sense because diagnostics can affect a patient's life in terms of what treatment he or she will be given. But in the drug development, it's an actual drug, right? You actually enter someone's body, and affect his his body. So the safety issues and the bureaucracy definitely are more complicated in drug development, and it's good that that's the way it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. So, as the director of R&D at Nuroxone Biologic, could you tell us what your job entails?
A lot. So basically, I think we need to differentiate between small startups and big corporate kind of companies, because in small startups you have a title, but the title is just a name, right? I think I do everything. I oversee the day-to-day R&D activities. So it's very micro. I come to work and I know exactly what each and one of my team members does and how it fits to the total Gantt and strategy of the company. But then I also have to fly up in the sky and think of the strategy of the R&D in the company, and the strategy of the IP and the strategy of the regulatory guidelines. And in small companies, you also need to sometimes be HR and lab manager and help with day-to-day activities. So it's all in all, and I think this is something that I really like in small companies because I get to do the entire span of activities in the company, from designing the strategy to mopping the floor when the toilet overflow. So I think it's a really great opportunity in startup to do like everything from everything.
I completely agree, by the way. I also like that a lot about smaller companies.
And I think, Marta, this is something that we hear a lot, right? When we interview people that work in startups or smaller companies, this is something that we hear a lot. And definitely you need to have the right profile to do that.
And also recruit people with the same spirit, right? Because it's one thing to be a manager in this kind of company and feel the spirit of let's fight this because we have to get to patients, but then recruiting people that also have the same values and the same perspective is also a challenge in this kind of environment. And I'm proud to say that the team that we have is totally engaged and motivated to feel the same way.
Could you give us some examples of the research in regenerative medicine?
Yes, I'm happy to. So, as I said previously, we develop exosome-based therapy. We load the exosome with a payload that is called siRNA. It basically reduces the translation and the expression of proteins within the body. And we target proteins that affect the neuronal regeneration post injury. So our main indication, our main clinical indication, are clinical indications that their hallmark is neuronal damage, such as spinal cord injury, and that will benefit from neuronal regeneration at the injury site. Currently, our first indication is spinal cord injury. We have a vast preclinical package and study. We have shown efficacy of our product in two different preclinical models in rats. One is the full transection of the spinal cord, the other is clip compression. And then we've also shown efficacy using two different routes of administration. So intranasally and intrathecally, it's in the back of the spine. We show efficacy in many modalities, so motor functionality and sensory functionality and structural functionality, like the integrity of the tissue post-injury after we administrate our product. And we show significant improvement for animals who have received our product. The day-to-day activity currently are pushing towards IND submission. We have submitted a pre-IND last year, received supportive response from the regulator, and currently all of our focus is closing the gap between the pre-IND and the IND submission, developing the required analytical methods, and designing the clinical studies.
And I have seen that you also consult companies in the field of in vitro diagnostics, IVD. Could you explain what this means?
Yeah, sure. So as I've said, diagnostics is my my hometown. This is where I was born. This is like my bread and butter. I think in the diagnostics field, we're speaking more about product and not research, as in drug development kind of field. So in the diagnostics field, I usually consult assay development, diagnostics, profiling of clinical indication, how to reach the market, how to take into consideration the workflow in central labs or in the outpatient settings. Because I think one of the differences we haven't discussed previously is that when you are in the drug development field, you know exactly what you want to do. If you have a patient that suffers from a spinal cord injury, you know you want to cure the spinal cord injury, right? In the case of diagnostics, you want to give a diagnostics for an indication that will fit the current workflow of the patient you are targeting to. Is he in a hospital? Is he at home? Is he elderly? You need to kind of imagine how the diagnostic will meet an entire population of people. So it's more product profiling. This is what I do as a consultant.
What do you like the most about both of your jobs?
I love my jobs. I'm a person who, I go to sleep with my work in my head, and then I wake up with my work in my hand. Um, I think what I love the most is kind of imagining how I can affect patients' life. Because in both fields, you can actually imagine how, if your product succeeded, the life quality of someone else will be better. If it's in drug development, people with spinal cord injury have nothing to offer currently. Their dreams are not to get up of the wheelchair and run. They dream of going to the bathroom independently or eat food by themselves, and just giving them that kind of lifestyle and quality of life really motivates me in waking up in the morning. And the same goes for the diagnostics field, because if you have the chance to affect the disease progress of someone, or to have early diagnostics of someone who would otherwise be diagnosed too late in his disease progression, this is amazing in my eyes. The impact that you can do and give to someone, yeah, it's very inspirational to me. That's what I love the most.
You made me emotional, I have to say. So I read that among many things, you oversee patent submissions. And we know that this could be challenging. What's the role of patents in Nuroxone innovation strategy?
So I think in a drug company that does not sell its product, the most important, asset for the company is its IP. This is our future. This is our freedom to operate, and this is what we will be able to offer patients in the future. So we are always actively thinking about our IP profile, and how to protect the product now and also in the future, right? For other indications, for other changes in the product, and to developments in our drugs. Currently, we have three layers of protection to our product. The first one is protecting like the high level product. So it's the exosome with the payload and the administration for the indication. It's kind of, we call it an umbrella patent. It protects everything. And then the second layer protects the payload itself. So the payload in our case is an siRNA that is loaded to the exosome, but there are other payloads that are protected. And also, the third layer is how we introduce the payload into the exosomes. So there are different techniques to take the payload, take the exosome, and mix them together so that the payload will be protected within the exosomes. And we try to protect each and every one of the techniques so that we will be protected in any way we would like to improve our product, in the future. Every time we have a new novelty in the company, the first thing we do is to think how we can actively protect it, and how we can use it without being restricted in any other way. So yeah, this is something that we are, it's a very big stone in our work today, and we think about it actively all the time.
I'm so sorry that you have to work with lawyers all the time. I'm just say I'm just saying that because I am one. That's why I'm making this joke.
Yeah, it's complicated, but the gravity of the importance of patents is something that I think it's more important sometimes than the discovery phase itself, because you can do a lot of work and then everything goes down the drain if you didn't protect yourself correctly.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to agree with you. And what is, in your opinion, the relationship between research and IP?
Yeah, I think it's like married couple, but after 10 years, when it's not so good anymore. um, because I think
I love
researchers
that.
because I think researchers, they are very creative, and they want to push forward the discovery and they think of the patient and the quality of life and what we can offer them. And then comes the lawyer and say, but you can't do that. And this is already protected and you don't have freedom to operate, et cetera, et cetera. So I think when it goes well, the relationship are crucial, right? We need to do it all the time. I think there's always some kind of stress between the two, but I think it's a healthy stress. I think it's good that the research will always have this kind of cross communication with the patent and the IP strategy, and one limiting the other. I think it will make the product even better at the end.
So I'm thinking that it must be important for a researcher to plan ahead than their patents, right?
Of course. I was just thinking when we prepared for this interview that when I was a researcher, I never thought about IP. I mean, in PhD, right? You're a student, you have your research, you want to publish your articles, you want to finish your PhD. And then I just remember that during my PhD, I had to sign a few patents of something that was, developed in the lab, and I was like, okay, let's sign it. I don't have a problem with it. But thinking intentionally on the IP strategy early on is so important, because later on in your career, this is something that you will reflect upon and understand the gravity of what you've done and how important was it to protect your innovation. Yeah.
Now, we tend to turn a little bit more to the personal side. Um, what has been your biggest challenge during your career?
I've had many challenges. But I think my main challenge was trying to be intentional with my career, because I think it's very easy to go with the flow in your career. For example, I was in the diagnostics field. I had a wonderful time. It was an amazing company. I felt very comfortable, very in my element. And it was hard to do the switch to go to drug development. It's like learning a whole new language. And then within the drug development, I also was able to do a lot of different things, from preclinicals to bioanalytics to head of R&D, etc. And I never let those things kind of come to me, right? I was intentional about my career. I was always thinking where I want to be in 2 years, 3 years, 1 year. I'm always thinking ahead of who is Noah in 1 year from now, who is Noah in 5 years from now. And I actively kind of, make my career work with my wills and not the other way around. So I think it could be challenging, because it's like in the human nature to feel comfortable. So you need to fight this kind of instinct. And it was a challenge, but I think I'm proud to say that today, when I look back, I feel I made good choices. And I'm happy that I went against my instincts, against my gut, and I was brave to do steps that were hard at the moment, but now I feel very, proud of.
Well, congratulations, Noah, because I think that's really brave and it's really difficult to fight against that comfort. So I think that was really inspiring as well. And I would like to know, what are you most proud of from all your career?
I think I am most proud of with my relationship with my teammates and my team members. Going back to being intentional, I really try to recruit team members that would reflect my values and would reflect the motivation I give them. And I think it's very hard as, as a manager to people to balance between the need to motivate them and be inspirational to them and lead the way, and also be a safe zone for them. It's important to me to be a safe zone for my employees. I want to know what's going on at their homes, with their spouses, with their children. I want them to come to work and feel safe, and at the same time I want them to come to work and put the knife between the teeth and fight and be very motivational and give me results, and to feel that we are all doing something that is bigger than us, and that the sweat and tears that you put into the work is going to be reflected in someone else's life and quality of life. So it's a balance that it's not always easy as a manager to have, and I think I'm very proud of the relationship that I have with my teammates and the team members that I recruit. And when they give me that kind of, when they tell me that they feel that way, my heart just overflows. This is like the greatest happiness to me.
I have to say, we ask this question sometimes to our guests, and I just love when there is a similar answer when someone talks about their team. And after listening to this answer sometimes for a while now, I really believe that this is one of the keys of success of any company.
So you know what? Totally. I think that my previous boss once told me that you can have a really big problem with a not strong team, and you will never solve this huge problem. And you can have a really small problem, but you will have a very strong and fighting team, and with core values that you believe in, and that you will take this small problem and make it a huge solution, and will offer something new to the world. And I think team is everything. It really is.
Very nice message. And if you could give one piece of advice to researchers in your field about IP, what would it be?
So definitely, I would tell researcher, think as if you are opening a new company tomorrow and you are the CEO. What would you like to have in your company? What assets would you like to have? What would you like to protect? What is the most core technology or knowledge or novelty that you thought of that you want to be signed on your name? Because chances don't come back, right? If you miss your chance and you don't secure your IP during your research, it will not come back and someone else will secure it for sure. So I would suggest be intentional. Don't let research be just research. Think about it as a business. Think about it as your next commercial product, and kind of profile it accordingly.
We are reaching the end. However, I have one last question for you, and I would like to know what's in the pipeline for you on Nuroxone.
So, speaking about technology wise, we are exploring new clinical indication for our product. So, as I said, we are looking actively at clinical indication that can benefit from neuronal regeneration, and offer this product to other population and patients in need. We are also looking at the product as a platform. So we do know and have the vast expertise and knowledge of producing exosomes, and we know how to actively load them with different payloads. So next steps will be to load payloads that are other than P10 that can also offer patients other therapies. And continue and build our IP profile, continue and grow our team. We've just moved to a new site, which was very exciting for us. A new space. We come in the morning and we have a big smile on our faces. So yeah, continue to grow together.
Well, thank you so much, Noah, for having this chat with us. It has been really amazing and very inspiring. And keep up with the good work because clearly you're doing something that is crucial for so many people. And I love to know that you also do it so lovingly and with such a great team.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It was very nice doing this.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to IP Stories by 4IP Council. Visit our website on 4ipcouncil.eu to find out more and check out the links mentioned during this episode. If you liked it, remember to share and subscribe.